So we've been talking for a while about Hadoop concepts, and you're probably getting anxious to actually get started programming it. So how do you do that? There are a couple ways to get it, as I mentioned in previous movies. You can get the open source version here, and you see here's the main site, hadoop.apache.org, and you can actually download the latest version of the binaries and set up Hadoop on your own. It does take a substantial amount of time to download and set up plain vanilla Hadoop on a Linux box. So for the purposes of this course, we're going to use a virtual machine, which is a lot quicker to get started. But I wanted to show you where this site was. And before we leave the site, I want to tell you a little story about the yellow elephant. I actually had the good fortune to meet Doug Cutting in person, who is the primary developer of Hadoop. And he didn't tell me the story, but he tells the story. His young son was playing with a yellow elephant when he was translating the Google open source information about GFS and MapReduce into Hadoop. And his son called his little elephant Hadoop. And so in the beginning, there was quite a lot of discussion about, is it Hadoop or Hadoop? And it's just simpler to pronounce it the latter. So if you ever wonder where the little yellow elephant came from, it was Doug Cutting's son's toy. It's kind of fun to know about that. So anyway, so if you wanted to get the open source version, you'd go here, but we're really not going to do that. We're going to look at various vendor distributions because they're much easier to work with. So the one that we're going to start with is Cloudera, and we're going to look at several of them. Now, to be clear, most of these vendors have a free version to try out, and then they sell an enhanced version. So when you're working with this, what you're going to want to look at is you're going to look at the products, and we'll look at the various vendors. And you can see, in the case of Cloudera, we have Cloudera Enterprise, which is something that you would pay for. I believe they have a trial version. But they also have Cloudera Express. And as we'll see in a minute, they have Cloudera Live. Cloudera Live is really a great thing to try out because it basically allows you to try some of the querying and the interaction with the data in a browser without having to deal with any setup. And it's a quick start tip. Most of the major vendors, Hortonworks now has it, and I believe MapR have an in-browser option. And it's a study tip for those of you that are working on the exercises in this class.